warrants for the following departments will be on file in my office: computer tax, highway, building, assessor, transfer, supervisors, water, sewer, police, chief.
The board members, at this time, if you have any announcements, like to make, start off with Phil, for the election.
Thank you, Supervisor. Just a couple of things. This morning I went and got my coffee down at Flavor to Go, a local place we have right there in Price Chopper. Everybody go down there. It's had their 1-year anniversary. It's a good little place. We want to support our local businesses, so we'll get down there. That's all.
Is that all you have in here?
No, they have breakfast. They have breakfast, tea. It's a good little place and it's been going for, it's been off and on actually. The guy who built it like 10 years ago, so it's been there and it's continuing to go.
The original location just burned down the other day.
Yeah, sure. That's what he informed me this morning. He said they're going to make it through it, and so patronize this one.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Over the last couple of weeks, I think everyone's aware of the ordeal of a local resident, Hannah Smith. You know, both not only for Hannah, but for her family as well. You know, a lot of things happen in families, and you know, of course, we're not privy to details. But you know, you can imagine, you know, how tough her personal situation was. I understand she experienced a head injury a couple of years ago, which may have contributed to her leaving her house, leaving her parents and her family. And she was recently located this past week. And I think it's, you know, anytime you hear about a story, not everyone gets that kind of press, obviously. You get a lot of family situations and difficult life experiences out there experienced by a lot of people. And but when we hear about a situation like this locally, it's great to know that this turned out, this had a happy ending and didn't end up being a tragedy. Due to really, in large part, to the efforts of our police department and Chief Lavin and his staff, his police officers and detectives who were involved in locating Hannah. And so I think collectively, our feelings go out to the family. And again, kudos to our police department for their diligence. It's great to know that we have a police department that is there for us, serving a number of needs. And when you have a personal situation like this, it's great to know that they're there to extend their professionalism and helping us, you know, through these personal trials. Over the last week or so, we had another Eagle Scout who received his award on January 6th, Gus Dorkelson. He's a Greenbush resident. Eric and Kristen are his parents, and I had the honor to attend on behalf of the board once again during his ceremony. So congratulations to Gus. That's all, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Rick. Jenny?
Hi, glad everyone is here tonight. Happy New Year and welcome to our first meeting of the year. I had some notes and I left them inside, so I'm going to kind of wing it. I think I can remember the things. I was just writing them down, what I wanted to talk about. Last week I attended, I'm the liaison to the school district, and I attended a meeting, I think it was the 9th of January, that was held at Goff School. And the school district is really kind of reaching out to the community to listen to what they would like in budget presentations. I know the quick answer is lower taxes, obviously, but they're looking to try to reach people and to try to not, cut programs. So stay tuned to what the school district is doing as they prepare for their budget this year. It's certainly, a challenging time for school districts as it is for municipalities. So I just wanted to mention that. I know the budget committee will be having lots of hearings over the next couple of weeks, so we should all pay attention. I know that information will be on the website. I'm a member of the East Greenbush Kiwanis, and we're starting to reach out into the community and mostly to do benefits for the young people of the East Greenbush area. And they're going to have a comedy night. It'll be the second annual one, and it'll be, again, my flyers are all inside, but I believe it's March 3rd, and I think Linda posted one here anyway in the town hall. Okay, thank you. This time of year, this kind of weather, it's nice to look forward to something that will be fun and a good evening, and will have a good benefit also. It's going to be at the Comfort Inn in Scotia, and I believe the cost is $35 in advance, but tickets will be out and you'll see them in different areas of the town. I did also want to mention that next Tuesday, there's going to be an exemption workshop that's been put together by the Assessor's Office and the Receiver of Taxes Office. And there'll be 2 sessions. They'll be held in the East Greenbush Library. One will begin at 2 o'clock, the other at 6:30. Correct, Tom? 6:30. And they are looking for reservations. Space is limited in that particular room that they're using in the library. But it would be a good idea to find out the who, when, where, and why of when you're eligible for an exemption and how to file for it in a timely manner. So I think that's all. If I left something out, I'll have to catch up next month. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Sue?
Bruin Rescue on Sunday, February 12th. They're having a Friends and Family CPR class. There's a $10 fee. It's a license class. It's just a condensed version of a certified CPR class. So again, it's Sunday, February 12th at 1 o'clock. There'll be an announcement on our website, www.eastgreenbush.org. And I believe Daniela might have some outside our community service desk. So, yeah, it's a good thing to do. I know I have comfort. My husband is certified, and I kind of was thinking he's in a little bit of trouble. Anything ever happens to him. So I think I'll be attending that for my Valentine's gift for my husband. It's Sunday, February 12th. That's it.
Thank you, Sue. Announcements from the department heads. Joe, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just want to let you people know that if you recall that flood out in Praxville, Clinton Heights Fire Department, East Greenbush Fire Department, the communities around sent people out there, and one of the groups from Clinton Heights was in the news for saving a woman from the flood. And that one guy is from our own town, and he works for the town of East Greenbush, and he works for me, Ron Stark, which he got honored in the county, but also the governor at the State of the State address invited Ron. And I just want the board to know that, these are the kind of people that we do employ. They go out there, they volunteer. This is all volunteer. He's a professional in water rescue, and they called him, and he did his job. And he hasn't asked for nothing. It's amazing. He just, okay, thank you. And he came to me and he says, can I have the day off or a half a day because the governor, I got an invite to the governor's statement. Okay. So, I mean, I'm just proud of the guy. I mean, this is what we have here. I mean, as much as we sometimes want to, we point fingers and do this, but these men and women in this town just participate all over, not only for us, but they participate all over the state. If you notice, a lot of them will volunteer to go anywhere. So, just want to say that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. That was well said. Danielle?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just wanted to update some people on some things that we had going on. Our Holiday Homes Contest winners from back in December. We had about 15 entrants, and the top 3 winners are as follows. In 3rd place was the Hammond family in Governor Square. 2nd place was the McGuire family in Hampton Manor. And 1st place went to the Skomersky family in Taylor Estates. Special thanks to Tegan's for helping us co-sponsor the event, and for everybody that participated. It was really fun. Phil helped, and some members of the Youth Commission, and we drove around and and judged the homes, and it was really nice to see all the holiday spirit, and some people put some serious effort into decorating their homes, so it was really fun. Also, this past weekend was Winterfest at Goff Middle School. Hopefully some of you guys had a chance to stop by. My department held our annual chili contest. We had 6 entrants, and it was judged by festival attendees. Everybody could go by, stop by the table, and taste all the chilies and pick their votes for most original, which was awarded to Barb Harris, hottest or spiciest, which was awarded to Hunter Taylor, and he's only 11 or so, I believe, and he put serious effort into it. It was really great. And then best tasting, as well as most overall votes, was awarded to a contributor who wishes to remain anonymous. So thank you to all the entrants for that. It was a really fun experience. And I think we'll be holding more chili contests throughout the year because I had a really fun time. And then coming up for the schools, Red Mill and Janae Elementary, we have our after-school bowling program. So if you have any kids or family that are in those schools in grades 1 through 5, that program will start on March 5th. And it runs Mondays and Wednesdays for 5 consecutive weeks. It's $65 per child, and that includes rentals and transportation from the school to the bowling alley. And it also includes a pizza party and trophies on the last day for each of the schools. And then finally, we have finalized our dates for the summer camp program. I know it's winter, but it's time to start thinking about summer camp. So the dates for session A will be July 9th through the 27th, and session B will be July 30th through August 17th. And within the next few weeks, we will most likely be opening registration for that. So keep an eye out. That'll be on the website and the local papers. And I've submitted my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for your efforts. Chief Lavin.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I have filed a monthly report with the board. It's available for review in the town clerk's office. It'll also be posted on the police website. While you're there, click current events if you're interested in reading up on some of the cases we're working on this week. I'd like to note Rick Matters mentioned a missing persons case that occurred locally over the last couple of weeks. I appreciate his remarks. Rick also contacted me during the investigation to see if there was anything that the board could do to assist the department. Each of the board members either phoned or emailed us during the course of the investigation, and I met twice with Supervisor Langley to keep him appraised of the status of the investigation. All of these efforts are helpful, and it's good to know that the board is standing by to lend a hand on a particularly difficult case. We appreciate it, and I'm sure that the community does too. That is all.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just to mention, we have one tax settlement case on tonight, and we have possibly 2 that are really close, and I'm looking at the report that they can be found in the next month or 2.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our open public privilege portion of the meeting. This is where each speaker shall state their name and address prior to addressing the board and shall be granted the floor for up to 5 minutes. The board thanks everyone in attendance for their understanding and also for their desire to actively participate in the decision-making process locally. I will ask speakers that to kindly respect that this is an opportunity for you to express what's on your mind and give the board an opportunity to consider for future reference. So who would like to go first? That's fine.
My name is Kelly Sandra, and I live at 66 Parkridge Drive in East Greenwich.
Can you speak up?
Oh, sorry, Kelly Sandra, and I live at 66 Parkridge Drive in regarding the shooting incident in my neighborhood at Parkwood Estates. And Mr. Maddox, I'm so sorry. I realized after the fact that I emailed the whole board and I put your email off, so I'm sorry.
It's okay, no problem.
Didn't realize it when I was writing this.
No, that's okay.
But it was reassuring to receive the updates regarding the case, so thank you so much. For anyone who is not aware of the incident, I will briefly explain that a stray bullet entered my neighbor's home, the Dollards, who are actually also here tonight, 2 weekends ago, when a different neighbor was engaging in target practice. This target practice range is located in a backyard that actually borders the Dollards property. I understand that the police investigation regarding the stray bullet is now closed, but I'm here tonight with some of the neighbors because we have concerns about the law itself, which permits discharging a firearm within a residential neighborhood so long as there is 500 feet between neighbors. Many of us feel that this distance of 500 feet is not realistically safe considering the capabilities of firearms today. I would like to explore the possibility of making this law more stringent in our town, but I do not have experience with amending laws or proposing new ones, so I'm hoping that perhaps we can be given some guidance regarding whether this is a possibility, and if so, what the process would involve. I'm not sure what a safe gun law would look like, but I'm hoping it could involve a safer distance requirement for discharging a firearm. This recent incident in my neighborhood highlights the flaws of a law that is probably intended for hunting and does not take into consideration the risks of high-powered weapons today. I would be happy to meet with anyone who might have the experience to help us pen a realistic guideline for safer target practice within our town. Approximately 30 children live in my neighborhood. They play outside, some of them less than 500 feet from the target practice range we're talking about. And I just don't see how discharging a firearm within 500 feet of a residential subdivision can be a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Martin Dollard, 71 Park Ridge Drive. The recipient of the bullet that was shot. First thing is, there's some misinformation that this is actually a closed incident at this point in time, because it's not. We have not settled on anything at this point. It is still open. There's still being investigated, and we're trying to determine the course of action to be taken. Whether the homeowner who shot or the people who were involved in shooting the bullet agree to pay restitution. And if they agree to pay restitution, there's one course of action. If they don't, then there's a different course of action. But at this point, this is not closed. The other thing is, for the board, we need to change the rules because it's not appropriate for people to be shooting that close to houses. And I don't know if anybody's actually ever wanted to measure the distance because the Gaylord's house, sitting where it is when you come up into our neighborhood, is probably very close to 500 feet from that house where the people are shooting. So if some people are going to be going out and making these judgments saying randomly that it looks like it's safe because that's what we've heard, it's not safe because the bullet went through my house. So it doesn't matter what we said over the next 5 years. What they've been doing has ended with a bullet hitting the house. It's not a safe practice, and it has to stop. And somebody's got to stop it before somebody gets hurt. My kids play in the backyard. When our neighbors were told once when they moved into the neighborhood to be careful because these people shoot in that direction. They were walking on their own property, and they were advised by this family to be cautious because they shoot. There's something wrong with that. If they feel that it's okay that they can shoot towards somebody else's property, and they're telling other people that you should be cautious, there's something wrong with the rules and the laws that are out there. So anything that can be done to change it, anything that we can to look at this and really determine what is truly 500 feet, because I can tell you, I don't think anybody's measured it yet. It's up through the woods, it's up over some hilly terrain, and nobody's going out there to do it. So I think that needs to be done first before anybody makes any determination as to whether it's safe or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Sherry Gaylord, 75 Partridge Drive. My property borders, that's where the shooting range is. And it's one of 3 locations I've been told that actually do target practice in the vicinity. And I am also neighbors with the Dollards. And I'm the one that advised when I first moved in, as myself and the children walked on our property from the homeowners, that she came out of the house to tell me at that time to be careful with the target practice. It often happens more when their son is home on military leave, but they do it all the time. Which I find quite interesting, again, being on my own property. But, again, I've always been advised that, you know, it's set up right, between their rights and so forth. So clearly it's not an effective law anymore, regardless of if they're operating within their rights currently. That's one, the end part of my property actually butts right up against their house. I don't know exactly the shooting that they're target practicing at within their own property, but I'd be more than happy to place a shed or a dwelling that would make it illegal for them to shoot in that 500 feet. So it needs to be fixed. My kids play in the field, I'm sorry. You're fine. But they're on our own property. I mean, it clearly isn't safe for them or us to even be outside. If that's a matter of making different zoning for where it's at now, it's clearly different than it was 20 years ago.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name's Jerry Hobbs. I live at 3 Bud Lane. I've been there for 20 years. As the crow flies, it's about 1.25 miles from where the shooting takes place. In fact, on a frequent basis, in the early evening, especially in the summertime when I'm outside, I can notice these things. I'm aware of rapid fire, semi-automatic gunshots. This is a mixed use area. This is an urban, rural area. I fully expect people to go out there and bag some pheasants and hopefully get deer, and that's appropriate. This sounds like there's a military base down the street. Okay, so my opinion is, in the state of New York, it's illegal to shoot off fireworks. Now, fireworks, by and large, are only dangerous to the user. These things are not. I live 1.25 miles away that's within the distance of a lot of centerfire arms, and it disturbs me. I don't know what you guys can do about this, but I think that you need to do something about this. This is target practice. This is not somebody just taking an occasional couple of shots. Let's fine tune the sights on the gun. That's not what this is about. Okay, this is hundreds of rounds, day after day. Okay, it's no surprise that we've had an incident like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Gilbush. I live at 476 Luther Road, which is across the street from the shooting range. My wife and I have called the police several times over the last few years about the rapid fire, constant, ongoing target practice, whatever you want to call it. Again, as Mr. Hobbs said, it's just about every evening during the summer. It starts when I get home about 5:30, runs till about 7 o'clock, unless we make a phone call to the police, in which case the shooting will cease. And it usually ceases for about an hour. And then if the police do stop by to check on it, it may not reoccur, but generally it does within an hour after they stop by and leave. I've complained about it, my wife has complained about it. Several of my neighbors, they call me and say, hey, what's going on? I said, we gotta call and complain. I don't, whether or not they have, I don't know. Two of them, you know, two people live across from the, across the street again, on Moore Road, a couple live up on Hilltop Road. For me, I've measured the distance from my house to where I think they are shooting is 700 feet. I'm probably the furthest away in that neighborhood. If you walk on the Partridge Run, I've taken a Google map, whatever you do, put a compass on the house that I think the shooting is coming from. I draw a circle, and it's well within the 500 feet. The two houses on top of the hill are well within the 500 feet range. Now, if you're measuring across the Savannah hills and stuff, sure, it's going to be 500 to 600 feet. But if you actually do it,
Can I just, why don't you just take a break? I feel so badly for her. Thank you, I'm sorry.
I have a favorite word to go.
it's just very annoying that it has to go on, and we've been complaining about it, and it's just this week. My wife and I have been complaining about it for years, several years. We've been calling, complaining. We're told it's a legal range. I don't know what it looks like. I was a firearms instructor. I've worked on legal ranges. I don't think that they spent the time or the effort to put in the backstops necessary, because if they did, this problem with somebody's house being shot obviously wouldn't have happened. Something has to be done about this. I'm tired of it, and we have to figure out what's got to go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
I think I might be the last person on this incident, but there's a couple things that Kelly reminded me of. My name's Beth Endress, and we're at 4 Eastvale, again, in the Park Ridge Estates development. So this is all a neighborhood that certainly we're concerned about our children. I know my son, Dollards, it was extremely scary. My son was there 2 days before, plays with their son, when they said not only did the bullet hit their house, it went through their house, through where he sits at his kitchen table, and into their TV in their family room. So when our neighbors, when they call the police, and our neighbors have called the police, we've been told numerous times, well, sorry, nothing we can do, they're within their rights to shoot. Clearly, if they're being negligent shooting, they shouldn't be within their rights to do that. And it's clearly negligent, and this is not the first incident. Luckily, they weren't home. And we're not calling you with a kid in a hospital or a child or a person, but we don't want to wait for someone's child to get hurt for this law to be changed and for something to be done. We're not asking you to take away their guns. You know, I'm not asking, Second Amendment, we're not asking to disarm people. We're telling you that they're negligently shooting near our children, and we want it stopped. So regardless of whether his property gets reimbursed, reimbursed for his property, what he really ultimately wants is the shooting to stop. And whether it's a zoning, they're shooting either near us or they're shooting towards the handicapped children's field, near Miracle Field, which is where the other houses are shooting towards. Neither one is acceptable. And the 500 feet is clearly not safe when they're shooting automatic AR-15s, which is what was reported. And then we were told it wasn't exactly an AR-15, but basically like an AR-15. And for them to be shooting and to go through his home, we were also told it was a fragmented bullet or a deflected bullet. If I pull down to the driveway, you have to shoot uphill, clearly spraying bullets in the air like a 17-year-old with a military weapon, showing off for his buddies or whatever they're doing back there. You hear the ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. This isn't a right. A right to bear arms is not a negligent right to bear arms, or it shouldn't be. So whatever we need to do to get this done to protect our children, we're asking for your help as a board and as a neighborhood that just want to be safe. We're not asking you to take away people's guns. We're asking you to have us be able to live in a safe neighborhood.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone else on that issue, or on the shooting?
I'd like to add just something to it. I know that it has been reported that the neighbors there have since agreed not to shoot, which is all great. Appreciate their willingness to do that at this point, even though they're aware that there's been complaints for years. But there's nothing to go back on with it. They can say that now during the summer, they can go back and do it again, and there's no recourse. So it comes down to changing either the ordinance, the zoning, or the law to keep everybody safe. And whether or not this is a true statement, I can't speak to that, but I've also been told that one of the two houses makes their own ammunition as well. So I can't verify that for sure, but that has been
we're going back like 3 years now, 2-3 years. So
Should be in a police report though.
I don't know. I know that they found them, they reported it, I don't know whatever happened, but I got an email from Gail after it all aired on the news, because, you know, it was their house and whatever. So she just wanted to remind me of that, which is just one more reason to think that this isn't safe. Like, clearly, if it wasn't deemed negligent this time, there's certainly been shown over and over a pattern of something that's just not right there. But like you said, even if they agree to stop, so who says they don't move and someone else moves in? And they've got this great target right there. So anyway, that's just the other piece of information.
Thanks again.
One more thing, between my house and Miracle Field is East Greenwich Town Park property, where people walk their dogs, and there's a path that goes from Miracle Field over to the town park. And that is downrange of where the second house shoots. They kind of shoot kind of back around the corner out over the swamp. And just downrange of that is a path that kids can be walking on. Anybody in the park can walk on that path and go down through there, and they'll have no idea that they're back there. So it's just another part to be concerned with.
Ed, did you want to?
Yeah, when they were saying how far away they were from shooting, I got it in my head, how far does a bullet travel? And I looked it up and it was a Texas park, and I think if anybody knows about guns, it's Texas. Just a 22 short goes a half a mile to a mile. 22 Magnum, 1.5 to 2.5 miles. A 30-30, 2 to 2.5 miles. 30-06 can go up to 5 miles. So I think the 500-foot thing is probably something that should be revisited. I think they're absolutely correct when they say the law was written way too long ago, and it's pretty sobering when you start looking at how far these things can go.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah.
Chief, I wonder if I could ask, I wonder if you could define the law a little bit. I'd like to have a two-part question here, one for you and one for Mr. McCarty, and define for the people what the law is with respect to what they're doing there, what's possible.
I don't have the citation in front of me, Keith, but under the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, it prohibits the discharge of a firearm within 500 feet of a building, unless it's your building. So the owner of a building has 500 feet of clearance to discharge a firearm. So, in this case, the officers who answered prior calls determined that that law was not in violation. So I'm sure Mr. Liccardi has additional information that may be useful to your board.
Thank you, Chief. I wanted to just establish that what took place was not a violation of law, but that doesn't make it necessarily right. So, Joe, we had some conversation to some possible remedies.
Have we established the violation of law? Because if you're criminal mischief or criminal negligence in spraying guns in the air, if you're within 500 feet, wouldn't that be negligence to the law?
Well, I believe there's got to be a complainant, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but in order for there to be a violation of one of the reckless endangerment statutes, there's got to be a complainant, correct?
Yes.
There is a complainant. A person whose house got shot.
Criminal, and then has there been a criminal complaint lodged formally against the individuals that were involved in the firearm?
I met with the police department, talked to them pertaining to the fact that we can't stop them from shooting. There's two options in this case. One is get restitution and not prosecute, or prosecute and go for restitution through the prosecution process.
And that not yet been decided, that's when you say.
Well, it's with the
still-
police right now, who's
Right.
talking to the people involved on the other side of the equation as to whether they're willing to pay the restitution up front, or if I'm gonna have to press charges against them for them to pay the restitution.
Okay, so the answer to this lady's question is, there may well indeed be a criminal prosecution depending on the outcome of restitution or the absence thereof.
Well, but actually, first of all, okay, you know, and whether the criminal complaint, but again, that doesn't stop them shooting. But if this gentleman is saying he lives across Moore Road, he's measured his home from their home, and it's only 700 feet, there's no way that they're shooting, and their home, they have a shed on their home, they have a playground, which is also in the statute as to not being near a playground, or you know, it didn't say
Oh, I
public
understand,
playground.
and I'm getting to that, but
So,
first I want to
okay.
address your initial inquiry was the element of criminal recklessness and criminal negligence.
Yeah, I don't think that, as
It
far
is-
as the document control, that hasn't been established.
Right. There are two potential remedies that we've explored and looked at so far. One involves passing a local law that would, under the municipal home rule law, that would allow the town to expand that distance, that 500-foot distance. Can we do that, or can't we do that? That's something I'm researching right now. It involves the act of what's called superseding the state law. When the state passes its own law, like this DEC law, which the chief referred to, generally the municipality cannot go beyond and overrule what state law is, except in certain circumstances they can under the municipal home rule law. And that law defines in pages what types of statutes can be superseded, where the municipality can go beyond what
Clearly,
state
like New
law
York
does.
City or Westchester County, or people that have more stringent gun
Yeah,
laws.
and some types of things cannot. So that's one consideration, passing a local law which would expand and make greater this 500-foot distance from a residence beyond which no one can fire a firearm. With some of the statistics that we've come up with, and I think Ed elaborated on them, 500 feet, you change it to 1,000, you change it to 1,500, some of these high trajectory firearms can go miles. And so is that going to really be the remedy? To increase that to something, it has to be something reasonable, it can't be something that's not reasonable. And even if you extend that to a distance that's greater with the current technology, is that going to be a sufficient distance to stop something like this from happening? That's questionable. So
Well, it'd be
we're
better than
starting-
nothing.
Yes,
In
well,
a
there's
residential
something
area,
else.
it would, because you would eliminate the ability to shoot if you were close to
We're
houses.
not trying to eliminate hunting, we're not trying to
Right.
eliminate reasonable gun ownership, we're just trying to eliminate,
Shooting
know.
near.
The other alternative that we're looking at, and Mr. Charvino and I were looking at this today, is by way of zoning. Okay, we can, right now on the books, there's nothing in the county of East Greenwood zoning law that deals with shooting ranges. It's not there. We could define and regulate in our zoning law firearm ranges. Okay, that would seem at first glance, as we've been talking, that might be a very effective method of eliminating this type of problem. Again, there's nothing there. We have to start from scratch. We have to, and there are municipalities. I've checked with the Association of Towns. There's a lot of stuff that we found online. There are municipalities that do define and regulate shooting ranges. Okay, now, it might sound easy at first glance, but you've got to, define it, and you're talking about a number of people, and you're talking about something that's open to the public, something where a fee is charged, all of which would have to be defined. Then when you get into regulation, hours of operation, buffer zones between the range, the actual structure of the range, the integrity of the range, the backdrop of the range. There's a lot
So
there.
they're not admitting they have a range, so I don't know that that's really, they're just back there playing, target shooting in their backyard. They're not admitting it to be a range,
Well,
so.
we can frame the law in such a manner that certain types of conduct would constitute target practice and would require a range. So, we can
Okay,
hone
but
in
can
on
I ask,
that.
can I ask the chief, has anybody measured from where this house is to their nearest, like the Gaylord shed? Because people are saying it's over 500 feet, but we've heard 510 feet, we've heard but who's measuring through the woods and up to where the nearest dwelling? And can a dwelling be a shed or a playground, or does it have to be corner of house to corner of house, or how is that written?
All of those questions are what keep the lawyers in business. The police officers that have responded over the months where these complaints have been coming in have used their best judgment to determine that the 500-foot rule doesn't apply. But let me share with you that the 500-foot rule can be waived. First off, the homeowner, the owner of the property from which the shooting originates, gives permission. The shooter can also get permission from adjoining homeowners to exclude their property. And as you know, there's 2 homes, both of which have performed target practice in their backyards. So that relieves the shooter from yet another adjoining property. If there was a home within 500 feet, but that homeowner gave the shooter permission, then the shooter has permission.
Right, but it says dwelling to dwelling, and there's a shed. Anyway, we can move on.
I'm just checking the zoning on that, because you did mention dwelling in the sheds.
It doesn't say inhabited dwelling, it says dwelling to dwelling. The kid could be playing in the
Dwelling
shed.
owner is only, and even in the state code, it's basically where exclusively for residential use.
It's
So
just, anytime says farm or structure that may be occupied. That's NCON law.
There's a kid in there getting a
That's
lawn.
what it says. So you can put a shed back there, and they can't tell the person whether they're in the shed or out of the shed, so therefore they shouldn't be able
It
to
could be a
shoot.
clubhouse, a fort, it could be anything.
So the dilemma that the officers face, and on the numerous occasions that we've answered these calls, is that if the shooter can be identified, the officer would advise the shooter and the homeowner that the complaint was lodged. One of your neighbors has called, they're concerned about the shooting and they don't like the noise. So, but other than that, there's no enforcement piece available to the officer because there's been no violation of the law.
Unless they're within 500 feet of the Gaylord's house.
How can I feel
Because the
violated?
Gaylords haven't given them permission to shoot down there.
Because your house was shot.
So unless they're within 500 feet, if they're within 500 feet of the Gaylord's house, then they are violating the law. That's what needs to be determined. How close are they truly to the Gaylord's residence and to my residence? And if they're shooting within 500 feet of that, they're clearly breaking the law. It's okay that their neighbor gives them permission on the one side. There's 3 sides. Other people are involved.
So I guess
that
we're
have
saying,
to
till
also
this
give
law
them
can be
permission.
changed or determined, we'd like an accurate measurement between, so we can have a recourse for them to stop shooting.
Well, getting a surveyor's tool onto the property in order to make those measurements is a step of investigation that's currently in abeyance. We've also not,
Abeyance, I'm sorry.
and we haven't taken that step of investigation. Nor have we submitted bullet fragments for ballistic testing, which is an expensive request.
Do you still have them?
But they've admitted to shooting. Their statements clearly say that they were shooting that day, the day that the bullet hit my house. I don't know why we need to do bullet analysis.
Yes.
I get clear statements. Individual shooting gun this time, very apologetic for hitting my house.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So-
But there were 3 shooters, and only 1 bullet hit your house.
Actually, there's 2 holes. We've all forgot about the second one.
Okay, so there's 2 bullets that hit your house, there's 3 shooters, each shooter shot each of the guns. So even if we can identify which gun the bullet came from, each of the kids took a turn firing each weapon. So, who was the trigger man for the bullet that hit your house? Do you see where how complicated the criminal case suddenly becomes? The district attorney, sir, is not going to indict anybody for shooting a bullet into your house when we cannot identify who the shooter was. We can't arrest all 3 kids for shooting a gun
For reckless endangerment?
for firing a weapon where the bullet hit your house.
There's reckless endangerment.
Only the bullet that hit your house, as far as I know, recklessly endangered property. Did
Oh,
not.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sitting at the kitchen table and didn't get
Well,
it.
thankfully, it's not a reckless endangerment of persons because there was no person there. It's certainly a reckless endangerment of property, and the cops talk to you about what criminal course the investigation can take. And that option, of course, is still open. But it's not a clear-cut case of snap the handcuffs on somebody because there's way more to building a criminal case than that. The evidence has been secured, there've been photographs taken, we have your television set in the evidence room downstairs. However...
Actually, it got thrown out yesterday.
Oh, did it?
Yes, they called me on that, so the department, yes,
Okay, well, our evidence room is very small because our police station is very small. But we'll visit that another time.
Well, sir, do you understand their concern and our concern that our children aren't safe in our neighborhood?
On the day that the issue was first brought to the town's attention, I met with the town attorney in the police station, and we discussed what possible remedies there may be. Currently, there's state law. Can the town pass an ordinance that trumps the state law? The town attorney believes that he can. Whether, in what form that takes, working with the building inspector and the zoning board with respect to what the zoning law will permit under land use regulations, I'm optimistic that these are clever people. I've seen them draw laws before for complicated issues such as this, and I'm confident that they'll be able to come up with something that is going to improve the conditions. We don't want target practicing from those backyards any more than you do. And we've told them that in the past. And now there's contrition. Somebody said they've offered not to shoot anymore. But we're not happy with that explanation any more than you are.
Chief, were the guns seized? All the guns?
No.
They weren't seized?
No.
I have another question. He's referring to kids shooting. It's my understanding there was one minor, a 17-year-old, and the other 2 were adults, one of which was home on leave from military.
Well, they're all adults, but they're young adults.
So they're not children.
They're not juveniles.
Chief,
Yeah, just a quick question. I'm not a lawyer, and I've got a room temperature IQ, so I apologize if this is a good question. And maybe it's directed at Joe or not, maybe Joe can research it as far as reckless endangerment goes. Would it have made any difference if, God forbid, any of the kids or anybody sitting at the table had gotten hit? Would we have done anything different as a town, or would that have affected the statute and how it may or may not have been enforced at all? Thank you. And if anybody can answer that now, fine. If they can't, if they can research it and let us know, I'd appreciate that too.
Well, there's no if I can speak, Mr. Supervisor, there's no research needed to answer that question, sir.
All right.
If someone gets shot and you know about it, it's a full court press to rescue the injured person and identify who the perpetrator is. That didn't happen here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a tree court.
Only after the fact did we learn that there was property damage. And the police investigation had to reconstruct the events by interviewing witnesses, finding witnesses, Eventually, we were able to track down who the shooters were, interview them, take statements from them.
So unfortunately, the way the statute is right now, excuse me, we have to wait really until somebody gets shot before we can do anything. So that, to me, just as, again, not an attorney, that would, to me, indicate that we need to get working on this pretty quickly.
Yeah,
It still wouldn't change the law if somebody got shot, though. There's no within 500 feet, so.
Jack?
Jack Conway, 232 Hudson Avenue. I was going to say a couple of things about the ordeal the Smith family just went through, but this issue is really linked to it, since the major issue in both is the safety of our children. As somebody, I don't live anywhere near this firing range. I don't know any of these people, but it is utterly unacceptable that they're in a situation where their children could be hit by a stray bullet. Now, having said that, I lived in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and when I hear the word AR-15, it sends a chill down my spine. The Irish Republican Army killed 700 British soldiers with that weapon, and the reason they chose it is because it pierces armor. You cannot have, I don't care what the, we have to get together and solve it, but having said all of that, Chief Lavin and Mr. Liccardi feel, I'm sure, the exact same way as everyone in this room, that they don't want this to be happening. So the question is, what do we do about it? And I think we have to do something, and we have to do it as quickly as possible. If we have to set up a citizens task force for people to get involved and help with the research, let's do that. Mr. Liccardi does his research. We have to do something, because at the end of the day, it is incredibly and unequivocally unacceptable that these people feel the pressure that they're feeling right now. Nobody's children in the town of East Greenbush should be feeling that, should be under that kind of threat. It's unacceptable to everyone, and I'm willing to presume the feelings of everybody up front that it's as unacceptable to you as it is to us. So rather than grill the chief as if it's his fault or grill Joe as if it's his fault, I think we've got to now figure out, in a process sense, what we can do about it. And the other reason I want to link it to the ordeal the Smith family went through is I really do want to join with people in congratulating and thanking our police department for what they did. It may seem like a strange thing to compare it to, but a year and a half or more ago we had this shooting on Route 90 near Exit 9. And one of the things we've learned through these two incidents is that not only is our police department good at policing the town of East Greenbush, but they're very good at liaison with other law enforcement agencies, and they get the job done. So if we can give them the weapons, forgive the pun, that they need to deal with this, we're going to have to do it. But this breaks my heart, because when Hannah Smith left, this entire community stepped up. Everybody felt the same thing. If you have children, you know there but for the grace of God go I. And everywhere I went in this town, people were worried, people who were leaving town were looking. Everybody pulled together, billboards, flyers, the police department did their job, the town board, everybody did their job, and we brought this girl home safe. We have to keep these children safe. Knowing what we know now, we have to keep them safe. And I don't think anything can be gained by banging on the chief or saying, you know, why don't we have this law?
I don't think we meant to do that. Sir.
No, I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Right, but now that we know what the issue is, we have to move. And we have to move fast, and we have to move effectively.
Yeah, and I just want to follow up too. I'm not banging on the chief either. I think the police department's doing a pretty good job in this. However, this is outlining a tremendously bad gap in the law.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the chief and his people in the department don't want this to continue either as well. It's common sense. Who would want to have this happen? So this is a tremendous gap in the law that I feel that really has got to be fixed. And if it needs more than local legislation, certainly it's something we can contact our state representatives on to try and do this in a more coherent fashion.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. You know, we could go on trying to solve this problem all night. I think what we need to do now is give the board, the chief, Joe, give us an opportunity to review our options so that we can move forward and try to resolve this. Everyone here, I'm sure I can speak for, is sensitive to what is going on. No one wants to see anyone injured.
We're going to lose a good, she wants to move.
Well,
Poor woman, she wants to
don't
move
give it
out of
up
our
yet.
town. And that's the only thing she feels she can do.
But if you could give us an opportunity to review the options that we will have, and we'll take it from there.
Supervisor, I'd like to just make one more statement,
Sure.
and hopefully I speak for the board. If it's a matter of money to do an investigation or take measurements, I would hope that we can approve whatever needs to be approved to get the surveying done and whatever needs to be done, Chief. So let us know what you need if that's going to be the course of action.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
May I suggest one thing? When considering what we're going to do as far as zoning or the law, can I recommend to consider doing both? Because when you're addressing the zoning, that's going to address the admittance or the specifics of a gun range or a shooting range, but it still doesn't negate someone else who wants to shoot recreationally unless you go a step further to the distance.
Extending the 500
Exactly.
feet.
So I think both, it needs to be done twofold, is one suggestion. And then my question would be, in doing that, moving forward, what is that process? How long are we looking at? Roughly.
Well, we have to write a law.
And hold a public hearing, which will give you an opportunity to make suggestions on a draft that the town puts together. So, plan on that.
So can we assume as a community that this is moving forward with that, in that direction?
Yes.
I think so.
It's going to be a top priority, definitely.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We appreciate your coming out this evening, and I'm so sorry for what happened. But if it brings anything good for the community, then maybe there was a benefit to what you've gone through. And I don't mean to belittle it at all, but I think it's something, that Joe talked about the zoning. I was not aware that there was nothing in the zoning law. Maybe it's never been challenged before, but certainly it's something, we as a community need to look at, because as Jack mentioned, we're concerned for all of our children and all the people in our community. And this had to be a very frightening thing for all of you, I'm sure. And I appreciate you coming out tonight and letting us know. And as a board, we certainly are all concerned about this. And it's nothing that we're going to say, oh, yeah, they came out tonight, we'll let it go. Believe all of us, we're not going to be doing that. You've heard Mr. Liccardi and the chief. And I think if they get together and put their minds together, we can work on all of these options. And hopefully in an expeditious manner. Things don't always move as quickly as we'd like them to because of the public hearing process and just the protocol that you need to go through. But please be assured.
In the interim, will they not be shooting?
I don't think they'll be shooting.
I don't think they're.
Any
I don't think they'll be shooting. But I found
Call the first then.
They're shooting at
Just so you know.
911, and our officers are ready to respond.
Thank you.
Can I ask a favor too, as well as calling, if you want to follow up with an email to every single board member, that does help. So, keep us all aware.
Thanks for your concern.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming out this evening together like this, because you've certainly underscored, obviously, a few problems, and we're going to move very expeditiously on this.
This seems to me, Guy Gabello, 22 Michael Road. It seems to me to be more of an isolated incident than a problem that is rampant all throughout the town. And I hope you can do something about it, and I hope you can, keep these people safe and help them out. But I would be very leery about passing any new laws that would further restrict the rights of everyone in the entire town because of apparently 3 people that we're talking about here. I don't think this is something that we have 5 or 6 different ranges where there's these type of problems. A lot of good hunters and shooters in the area. I am the president of the Forge Rifle Club in Colony in the Pine Bush. It's been there since 1927. We haven't had an incident. Obviously, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. It sounds like this crew's doing it the wrong way, shooting in the air, this type of thing. But to pass a new law or regulation that would handicap the entire town, the entire population because of a couple of people, I'd be very leery of that.
We're not
What's to
asking you
stop
to
them
take
from
your
moving to
buffer.
another neighborhood?
Asking for a realistic distance and being not shooting in a residential area, that's all we want.
All right, anyways, we'll let it.
If we
Yeah.
could stay good,
Sorry for Shanghai.
No, we appreciate it.
Maura Ryan, 28 Capitol Place. I just, for the sake of these individuals here, is there a process, you know, like maybe somebody could be their lead communicant with the board so that, I would hate to see for what appears to be a lot of forward movement this evening, that I know you guys are gonna work on it, I know there's gonna be a lot of work, but keep this group informed of steps, and if there's, you know, a lead person for this group, that maybe the board can let them know what the process is, or how they
We
can
don't
stay
make
involved.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just would hate, because it sounds like all the intentions are there, and work's being done, and there's restrictions of current law, if, you know, they don't feel like there's kind of response coming, so that's just a suggestion.
Thanks, Maura.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maura.
I think that, on that topic, we're set. Was there anything else that, anyone else had, anything else this evening for the public portion? Nate?
Nathan Hands, Sunset Avenue. I just have one quick thing. I'll catch what I was going to say. On February 29th, the library is having a trivia night. All proceeds go to benefit the Friends of the East Greenwich Library. We'll be racking along prizes. This is our second trivia night. Last time we had a good turnout. We're hoping out for a better turnout this time. So if you know anybody who likes trivia, family, welcome everyone. It should be a really good time. February 29th. Yes.
Steve, do you guys have a flyer?
If we don't, I can get you one.
If you want to, okay.
Okay. I'll get you one.
post them around.
Sure. Thanks, Daniel. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. I think that at this point we'll conclude the public portion of the meeting and move on to our town business.
I just want to apologize for my school talking to town.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it, yeah, we don't want to take away anyone's guns, we just don't want them to shoot them at our children. It was very
Good job.
Thank you.
Resolution number 1-2012, approval of meeting minutes. I move that the meeting minutes for the regular town board meeting held on December 14th, 2011, special town board meeting held on December 27th, 2011, and the organizational meeting held on January 2nd, 2012, be approved as submitted by the clerk. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilperson Matters?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
Supervisor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilperson Holmes?
Yes.
Councilperson Campbell?
Yes. Okay, 2/2012, appointment of part-time police dispatchers in town seats to continue to retain the services of part-time police dispatchers in the town's emergency communications center. And there's a list attached. Somewhere, I think that we forward this resolution.
Happy to second that, Sue.
Any discussion on this? Councilperson Matters? Excuse me, back to you. Ms. Bengal?
Yes.
Councilperson Campbell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
If I could just, this is sort of a global thing with respect to, I think most of the resolutions tonight, with the exception of, I believe, one or two, the controller certification in terms of any adverse financial impact. I take it you're okay with all of
I
this?
think they all have at least some kind of impact, the phrase or an impact listed there.
I was just gonna suggest that the ones where, at least where they were omitted, that we just simply, that there be the understanding that language would be inserted.
3-2012, schedule a public hearing to consider a new contract with Best Luther Fire Company. The town board will hold a public hearing on February 15th, 6:30, to consider entry into new contract with Best Luther Fire Company. Move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it, Joe.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilperson Ryan? Excuse me, Wall?
Yes.
Councilperson Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Barron?
Yes.
Councilperson Engel?
Yes.
4-2012, schedule a public hearing to consider a new contract with Best Luther Fire Company on behalf of the 3rd Avenue Fire Protection District. The town board will hold a public hearing on February 15th, 6:45, to consider an entry into a new contract with Best Luther Fire Company on behalf of the 3rd Ave Fire Protection District. And move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second that, Phil.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilperson Wall?
Yes.
Councilperson Engel?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Barron?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
5-2012, authorization to enter into agreement for sewer services with individual entities. The town board does annually enter into agreement for sewer services with certain individuals or entities. I move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it, Phil.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
This is something that we do annually, and I'm happy to do this again this year.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Barron?
Yes.
Councilperson Engel?
Yes.
6-2012, authorize employees to attend the Association of Towns annual meeting, whereas the town controller has certified that the provisions of this resolution were planned for the 2012 budget and will have no adverse impact on the town finances thereof. Be it resolved that the following persons be authorized by the town of East Greenwich to attend the annual meeting at the Association of Towns in New York City from February 19th through the 22nd, 2012. Joe Cherubino, Matt Maston, Joe Clardy, Joe Malone, Sue Mangold, Keith Heinrich, Jim Bride, Kevin Moore. Town will pay the lodging, the town will pay the lodging expense and conference attendance expense. Attendees shall advance the cost for transportation, meals, and maintain an expense report accompanied by appropriate receipt to be submitted by the controller following the meeting reimbursement. The resolution was duly moved by myself, and can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilperson Barron?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Councilperson Engel?
Yes. 7/2012, appointment of alternate planning board member. Make a motion that Ms. Stenson be appointed as an alternate member of the planning board for one year.
I'll second that, sir.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilperson Engel?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Barron?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
8-2012, a resolution authorizing the town of East Greenwich to issue a refund for the general water and general sewer districts. The town has received a request for a refund from the assessor's office per unit frontage of tax parcel 155.14-1.2, which is physically located within the general water and general sewer districts. It was incorrect prior to 2010. I move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second that, thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Councilperson Barron?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilperson Engel?
Yes. On 9/12, family medical leave authorization. The town is in receipt of a request for an intermittent personal leave of absence under the Family Medical Leave Act to commence on or about January 1, 2012, and to continue to be used thereafter until the end of the 12-month period or a longer period should the town permit. I'd like to move this resolution.
I'll second that, sir.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilor Senego?
Yes.
Councilor Malone? Councilor Wyman? Councilor Madden?
Yes.
Councilor Bryan?
Yes.
10-2012, resolution authorizing the town of East Greenbush to issue a refund to the general sewer district. The town has received a request for a refund from the assessor's office for tax parcel 155.14-1.2, located at 36 Gilligan Road, which has been incorrectly charged for being located within the general sewer district. I move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I second it, Bill.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Councilor Bryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Wyman?
Yes.
Councilor Madden?
Yes.
Councilor Senego?
Yes.
11/2012, appointments to the Citizens Fiscal Advisory Committee, whereas each individual member of the town board has been authorized by the previous duly adopted resolution to appoint one at-will member to the Citizens Fiscal Advisory Committee, and the town controller certified that provisions of the proposed board action will no impact on the town's finances. Now therefore be resolved that such appointments are as follows. Supervisor Langley appoints Ed Gilbert. Councilperson Matters appoints Maura Ryan. Councilperson O'Brien appoints Richard Hendricks. Councilperson Malone appoints Pete Stenson. Councilperson Mangold appoints James Devine. I'd like to move this forward, this resolution forward, to just say I'm looking forward and working with everybody involved. It's been a very useful committee last year, and I'm looking forward to moving forward this year. Second.
Yes.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
Yes, I would like to say something. I appreciate the people that are returning. Maura Ryan is here. Maura, thank you for your service on this committee. I know it's very time consuming, but it's very important to us as a board. We appreciate your efforts. Thank you. And Pete Stenson is usually here tonight, and he will be returning, and couldn't make it to the meeting this evening, but I thank Pete for all the effort that he puts in, and I welcome the new members to the board. Ed Gilbert, you're here this evening. Thank you for taking this on. And the other two members that we're appointing, Rich Hendricks and Jim Devine, are new, and they agreed to do that, so we're looking forward to their input during the year. Thank you very much.
Yes, Jenny, I echo your sentiments. Maura, thank you so much again for stepping up. Once again, you've done a great job, being on the committee at this point. And Ed, I know you're gonna, add a lot to the group as well. So thank you.
Councilor Senego?
Yes.
Councilor Bryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Wyman?
Yes.
Councilor Madden?
Yes.
Councilor Malone?
Yes.
12, this is resolution 12, 2012. It says approval of independent contract. The town of East Greenbush wishes to retain the knowledge and skills of Terrence Sharp to provide consulting services to the town. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I would just like to welcome Terry back. Again, we had him last year on an independent contractor basis. His knowledge is invaluable, and I appreciate his service to the board.
Councilor Bryan?
Yes.
Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Supervisor Wyman?
Yes.
Councilor Madden?
Yes.
Councilor Senego?
Yes.
13-2012, approval, or, I'm sorry, 13-2, a resolution approving and authorizing the settlement of tax cert proceeding entitled Kumar Raj versus the town of East Greenbush after considerable discovery and inspection, appraisal review and negotiation, petitioner's counsel, town attorney, the assessor's office, recommend the settlement agreement for the following values for 2011. The assessed value was originally $640, it's being reduced to $575. I move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I second that, Bill.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I just want wanted to add, we didn't read this part, but, that there will be no refund by the town as this settlement applies to the 2011 tax roll first reflected on the January 2012 tax levy. And I think Joe said this is just for one year.
It's just for this first year, yes.
Right.
This is the first, the action was brought on the 11 roll.
Okay.
Yes, the 11 roll. And the 11 roll is reflected in the 11 school tax bill in September of last year and in January 2012. So that bill has just come out.
Okay.
Whether the individual has paid it or not, you know, we're settling it right about the time the bill is due.
Okay.
So there may not be a refund or there may be basically, maybe by the attorney not get the paper signed and filed, you know, there could be a matter of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
There's no several years built up.
Right.
But what we try to avoid in these settlements.
Right. I appreciate your effort on that too, Joe.
Councilor Wu?
Yes.
Councilor O'Brien?
Yes.
Supervisor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Smathers?
Yes.
Councilor Smigiel?
Yes. 14-2012, authorization for 2012 budget transfers. The town board of Tenants, English, County Rensselaer, State of New York, has received a request from the controller for approval of budget transfers. I'd like to forward that resolution and thank Jim Brad for all his hard work in keeping our books current and up to date and for the laws of the state. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Any other discussion on this? Councilor Smigiel?
Yes. Was there a second?
Second.
I'll second
Supervisor Leonard?
that. Yes.
Councilor Smathers?
Yes.
Councilor O'Brien?
Yes.
And Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Appointments to the Parks Task Force. The established committee will meet quarterly more frequently as needed under the guidance of Daniela Lanny, Anita Nero, and Jenny O'Brien, and town board liaison. The following members are appointed at no compensation for a term to expire on December 31st, 2012. And they are as follows: Lindsay Shea, Kristen Hines, Jennifer Dean, Katie Murphy-Gagnon, Noreen Gill, Sarah Sheldon, Kelly Sandbrook, Dominic Indelicato, and Lynn Indelicato. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Any discussion? I do have a question. This, Katie, she's the lady, Mary Gagnon, GHG, anyone? Anyone else? Councilor O'Brien?
Yes.
Supervisor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Smathers?
Yes.
Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Councilor Smigiel?
Yes.
16-2012, seeker determination, Michael Zoo subdivision, sewer district extension. The town board hereby finds that the project will not have a significant impact on the environment and issues a negative declaration for the project. I move forward on resolution by the second, please.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this resolution? Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Councilor Smigiel?
Yes.
Supervisor Leonard? Councilor Smathers?
Yes.
Councilor Smigiel?
Yes.
17-2012, resolution authorizing extension on the sewer district for the Michael View subdivision. The supervisor is authorized to extend Cass sewer districts to include Michael's View subdivision, having approval by all regulatory agencies. I'd like to move that resolution.
I'll second that, too.
Any discussion on this resolution? Councilor Smigiel?
Yes.
Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Supervisor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Smathers?
Yes.
Councilor O'Brien?
Yes.
18-2012, seeker determination, Michael's View subdivision, water district extension. The town board hereby finds that the project will not have a significant impact on the environment and issues a negative declaration for the project. And move forward on resolution by the second, please.
I'll second.
Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Councilor Smigiel?
Yes.
Supervisor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Smathers?
Yes.
Councilor O'Brien?
Yes.
19-2012, resolution authorizing extension of general water district for the Michael View subdivision. The supervisor is authorized to extend the general water to include the Michael's View subdivision pending approval Yes.
Councilor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Wyman,
Yes.
Councilor Matters,
Yes.
Councilor
Yes. Resolution 20-2012. The town board requests to act as lead agency for the Becker's Farm site plan. The town board wishes to assume lead agency status in connection with a coordinated seeker review of this project. Do I have a second?
I'll second the chief.
Yes, I would like to say that I'm really excited about taking lead agency status on this. The Becker's Farm has been an ongoing business in the town for many, many years. And everyone knows where it is on Columbia Turnpike, and they're looking to put I think it's a 6,000 square foot, right? 6,000 square foot retail store in front of their greenhouses. And I think it'll be a great addition. They're a wonderful family in town, and I'm excited about it. So yes, yes, that's all I have to say.
Councilor Grant,
Yes.
Councilor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Wyman,
Yes.
Councilor Matters,
Yes.
Councilor Mandel.
Yes. We had another resolution.
Don't have to do that.
Check us on the organizational meeting.
Oh, I missed
That
that.
was taken care of, organization.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second that.
Here, Councilor Supervisor Wyman,
Yes.
Councilor Long,
Yes.
Councilor Matters,
Yes.
Councilor Ryan,
Yes.
Councilor Mandel.
Yes, on Monday. Right, I did, Jim. See you then.